Welcome to today's story lesson with Jolly Kids. My name is Mr. Jamie, and in today's lesson we're going to focus on the book Lost and Found and talk all about the different locations where the story takes place. Are you ready? Let's begin. In today's lesson, I will read through the story and ask you questions along the way. Are you ready? Okay, let's start. Once there was a boy, and one day he found a penguin at his door. So when we talk about location, that means where something happens. So at the very beginning of the book, where does the story take place? That's right, at the boy's house. Well done. The little boy didn't know where it had come from, but it began to follow him everywhere. The penguin looked sad, and the boy thought it must be lost. So the boy decided to help the penguin find its way home. He checked in the Lost and Found office, but no one was missing a penguin. So where did he take the penguin? That's right, the Lost and Found office. And that's probably in the town where the little boy lives. Well done. He asked some birds if they knew where the penguin came from, but they ignored him. Some birds are like that. So, where do the birds live? That's right, they live in the trees. And where do we find the trees? Very good, in the park, which is probably also in the town where the boy lives. Well done. The boy asked his duck, but the duck floated away. He didn't know. So where's the duck? That's right, the duck's in the bath. And where's the bath? Very good, in the boy's home. Well done. That night, the boy couldn't sleep for disappointment. He wanted to help the penguin, but he didn't know how. So in the picture, we can see lots of different houses. And where do you think the houses are? That's right, in the town where the boy lives. Well done. The next morning, he discovered that penguins come from the South Pole. But how could he get there? Well, he ran down to the harbour and asked a big ship to take them to the South Pole. But his voice was much too small to be heard over the ship's horn. So what is a harbour? Can you tell me? What do we find in a harbour? That's right, lots of boats and ships. Well done. So where the boy lives clearly is by the ocean or the sea, that we can also call it. So together, he and the penguin would row to the South Pole. The boy took his rowboat out of the cupboard and they tested it for size and strength. They packed everything they would need. And together they pushed the rowboat out to, that's right, the sea. Because we know the little boy lives next to the seaside. So he took his boat down, put it in the ocean, and they're going to row together to the bottom of the world, to the South Pole where the penguins live. They rowed south for many days and nights with the boy telling stories all the way. The penguin listened to everything that the boy said. So where's the story taking place now? Where is the little boy and the penguin? That's right, in their boat in the middle of the ocean. And what can you see? That's right, we can see stars and really big waves. Well done. They floated through good weather and bad when the waves, as we heard before, were as big as mountains. Until they came to the South Pole, which is at the bottom of our world. Well done. The boy was delighted, but the penguin said nothing. Suddenly, it looked sad again as the boy helped it out of the boat. And we can see the sign in the picture that says, "Welcome to the South Pole." But can you see any other penguins? No. And that's maybe why the penguin is feeling a bit sad, because he's the only penguin there. The boy said goodbye and floated away, but as he looked back, the penguin looked sadder than ever. It felt strange to be on his own, and the more he thought, the more he realised he was making a big mistake. The penguin wasn't lost, he was just lonely. So where do you think the penguin came from? That's right, he came from the South Pole because there was no other penguins there. He went to go find the boy so he could have a new friend. Quickly, he turned the boat around and headed back to the South Pole. Well done. as fast as he could. At last he reached the pole again, but where was the penguin? The boy searched and searched, but he was nowhere to be found. Sadly, the boy set off for home, which was his town. There was no point telling stories because there was no one to listen except the wind and the waves. But then the boy saw something in the water ahead of him. Closer and closer he got until he could see. That's right, it was the penguin. And so the boy and his friend went home together, back to the boys' home in the town, well done, talking of wonderful things all the way. The end. Thank you everyone for today's lesson. I hope you learnt some new words and we'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.